I grew up in a very small town in central Ohio, and it was the first time that I ever really saw Los Angeles as a real place. It's to the point that when I moved here to go to college, the whole city felt very familiar to me. I had seen this weather, and I had seen these buildings, and I had seen these landscapes, and I hadn't done it consciously, but I think that I moved here a little bit deliberately because I had this fondness for the show.
It's amazing when you think about the locations. Until we put a demo reel together at the end of the series to sell in syndication, we always thought we were a set-bound show, right? And we all looked at it and said, my God, we've done a lot of what we called running and jumping. And we're all over town. And that is to Gareth Davis, who was the producer on it. That's to his credit, because in television you have a very limited amount of money for locations.
You're desperately trying to get viewers, you're trying to get fans, people to follow the show. You've got to make an impact, and you don't make an impact by doing a show that only stays in sets. You need to have the night stuff. You need to have the excitement. You need to have all of that.
He found ways to manipulate that budget so that we were out as much as we were in, and it gave the show a great look, and it wasn't so office-bound or apartment-bound.
We were encouraged by Michael to kind of write what our imagination suggested, and then let Gareth Davis come in and say, now boys, really, we cannot do that, and figure out what could be preserved and what couldn't.
And there would be a little bit of that back and forth every once in a while where you would write something that was unproducible they couldn't find. The location manager would bring pictures, you would look at it, and you would go, this is great, we can make this work, and then you would do rewrites to accommodate the location.
The location manager, Jim, was always able to find such great things, and also Los Angeles locations for Los Angeles, but sometimes doubling for Europe and San Francisco and other cities as well.
I grew up here, local, so I kind of knew where the stuff was, or I could find it pretty quick.
We used the Twin Towers in Century City to be Laura and Remington's home base.
They became rather iconic, and I know when I saw them for the first time, I thought, wow, these really exist, and there they are, right there.
Just driving down Olympic, so imprinted in my mind and the fans' minds, I think, about that's Remington's office. I actually haven't seen too many TV shows that have used those stock shots to say those are offices too, which has surprised me.
The apartment building on Rossmore that was Remington Steele's apartment building, I guess I always knew that that building was somewhere in that Hancock Park area, and when I finally put it together, that was a coup for me.
It was several places, actually, because I remember once we shot into the wee small hours, and were told by the neighbors never to come back. So we had to find another exterior.
The exterior was a real loft. It was done on Traction and 4th, right across from Al's Bar, which isn't there anymore.
The loft is in the artist district of downtown. It's not too far from where I work. And I knew that that loft building had to be in that area, but I wasn't sure exactly which one. When I saw it again, when the DVDs came out, I knew exactly which building that was.
She had problems with her neighbors who didn't like all of the gunshots and the seedy characters coming in. So we got some mileage out of that.
At about the 3rd season or something like that, the building owners leased out the bottom floor that was our main establishing shot. So all of a sudden, we didn't have a location anymore. So we had to find a backup loft, so we found another one that didn't really look the same, but it was about 2 blocks away. I think it was over on 2nd Street. We'd be in the valley quite a bit. Usually when we did running shots, we'd do Ventura Boulevard. We were shooting a scene in the street, and Pierce had just gotten a call that his baby was born. And he just took off running, and it's like, we just wrapped for the day.
I thought TV was this magic land where you wrote it in a script, and it was just found. And so I remember stealing the spotlight, the Rosemary character, Billy, we had hiding out in the woods. And all I knew was I'd seen the woods on TV before. There must be woods somewhere, and they'll find it. And then when I watched it, I kind of all of a sudden I got curious and I said, well, where did you go to for this? I didn't know if they went to Mammoth or the mountains. And they said, no, that's Lake Malibu. And again, to me, Malibu is the ocean and the coastline. I was like, there's a lake in Malibu? It took me 25 years. I finally got to Lake Malibu for my first time. And it hasn't changed much at all, and it really is still just this gorgeous, hidden away place right there 5 miles from the coastline.
The whole episode, You're Steele the One for me, the victim of the crime is a sushi chef. And I found out that I, in fact, had been going, this is my favorite sushi restaurant in Los Angeles, is a little place called Umasa, and actually shot 3 or 4 scenes in that restaurant, and that's where the person who's hired them actually is the sushi chef in that.
Say sushi! Sushi! Hey!
It looks exactly the same.
I think he went to Hollywood Park, and you don't do that anymore. You can do that on Ocean's 11, but you don't do it on a TV show. And that was just for 1 or 2 scenes. You produce an episode now, you basically, if you're going to go down to a location like that, you better make 25–30% of the show be there to justify the expense. And that was just one of the many locations.
Working at the Radford Studios was wonderful because it had a great history. It's where they filmed the Mary Tyler Moore Show. It's where they filmed the Bob Newhart Show, Rhoda, all of the great MTM comedies. Also, I was on the 2nd floor in a building, and Stephen Bochco was on the 1st floor doing Hill Street Blues. And across the way was Bruce Paltrow doing St. Elsewhere, and Dan Wilcox doing the Newhart Show.
The real Gilligan's Island, the lagoon, was at MTM. You walked down where our dressing rooms were, you walked down and you made a right, because we did a show there. And I was a big fan of Gilligan's Island, so when I saw the lagoon, I was in heaven. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I was thrilled.
It was a great place to start their career, and it was like a family campus, too. Everybody would say hello to everybody else. Everybody seemed to be friendly. There wasn't the rivalry that is so typical in television writing, even to this day.
We all sort of look back on those halcyon days of MTM Studios and think that it would be great to create another environment like that today.
The stages that Remington Steele shot on now are being used for one of the daytime soaps. They've built up around it and added some dressing rooms and stuff. But I just walked by it a couple months ago. I was over there working to see the old stuff, and I'd go, oh, there's the makeup room where I'd always see Stephanie and Pierce in the morning with Dorothy Fox being made up and stuff.
Ah, home sweet home.
Even the smog smells good.
When you look back at the 90+ hours that were filmed, just how many different places the show went. But I give full marks to the production unit, the UPM and line producer and all that staff for doing such a great job.